stage. So we have, in some ways, Yaron actually started this. Many people here in the audience represent causes or do things for NGOs or nonprofits too. Some of you could. And those of you who are sitting in the audience, you can all do good things to help these other organizations. One of the things I had noticed early on about Twitter, particularly, but social media in general, was that if you're a philanthropist, whether you like to raise money for causes, whether you like to give yourself, or just raise awareness, we now have a time and an age where great things can happen. And I was really taken back by how many people who I never met before are affecting change by speaking up. And one of the nice things about being able to use these platforms is when someone retweets you, you're basically sharing your voice into the voice of other people's streams. And while it's always possible to forward an email to some friends, when you're on the public internet, it has a huge impact in terms of how you get messages across. And of all the things I've seen, and the innovation I've seen in Twitter the last few years, it's really been the social good, social cause side that I've really been appreciative of. And so on the panel this evening, we have some interesting people who have different reasons why they're here. Liane Thompson, she was recently in Haiti. Haiti is her hell. She also did a documentary. She's a documentary filmmaker. She did a documentary about the Missile City kids and the children of Sderot. And in fact, before the first 140 conference in New York City, I got an email from her if I could help her get visibility for her work. And what did I do? You can start the clock, by the way, please. I actually told her to come to New York, and I gave her 4 minutes, I think, on a 20-minute panel. And it was a long schlep to fly from Tel Aviv to New York. Good things happened. Next to her is my dear friends, Ronen and Yotam. We actually have a startup called JustCoz. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's a way for people to donate tweets to causes. And I couldn't figure out which of the two co-founders to invite, so I invited both of them. Charlie's on the panel. You did the first Festival in Jerusalem. And for those of you not familiar with Festival, it was one of the first global happenings that just simultaneously, do you remember how many 181 cities the first time? 202 cities, that's right. Amanda did that. And Amanda recently, just a couple of weeks ago, was honored in New York City. She may be watching. Just amazing how one voice just affects so many things. And Paula's here because I actually like her tweets. She's a soldier's mom. And anyway, I thought it would be a good conversation. We don't have a lot of time, but I wanted to I'll shut up. And Liane, maybe you could start and just talk a little bit about what you've done. You have a video to show. Well, you do that. Or you want to set up and maybe we'll pass it back to Charlie?
Hello?
Here you do it. What do you want? All right, go ahead.
So you already heard today about how useful Twitter was from journalists in Haiti. I know that I was able to locate a lot of what was going on in your life and with Wycliffe and where you guys were in Haiti, thanks to Gio. In my using Twitter. As you do. Wait, I'm supposed to be multitasking. YouTube. So another story I actually want to tell you about where Twitter was very helpful for me in Haiti was when I was there, I went with Israel Flying Aid, and during one of the outings we were on, we were building an orphanage. We were on our way to get supplies, and we saw a woman being macheted, which would have been to death had we not have stopped the car and grabbed her and threw her and took her into what was then the IDF had already left. We were based at their camp. They had already left, and the Americans had taken over. And then we brought the woman there, and she didn't have a pulse. We had to leave. We went on about our work and whatnot, and I understood that she was flown out to the USS Comfort. I was following tweets, and I was tweeting myself the whole time, and it actually came back to me from my brother in California, who is very active on Second Life and was actually giving a performance on the USS Comfort, and he was speaking with one of the nurses who told him that the woman actually got there and survived, and she only lost her leg, and that was all through this real time now, I guess. So let me show you just what I'm doing now. In terms of social media, I'm making a documentary on what happened to me before and in Haiti.
Am I good?
And it's not about the bloopers. It's about post-traumatic stress disorder, which was the subject also of the Missile City Kids, which we're still in developing, still trying to be financed, still trying to get up and running. I'm trying to do something globally about post-traumatic stress disorder. And I figured, well, Haiti was a very good place to go to focus on that. So this.
So you went to help.
So I went to help.
Just grow.
And I decided to put my own little story about post-traumatic stress in it, because this is really about us and about what we are doing. And here you go. I've been reporting for 20 years now. Berlin Wall, the Intifada, Ground Zero. Child smuggling, drug smuggling, prostitutes and fraud. Sat in a Turkish jail for filming Kurdish rebels. I've dressed as a Muslim, a doctor, and a whore. Had money, love plenty, and raised 3 kids, 1 on my own. When the earthquake destroyed Haiti, my life was in ruins. I went to Port-au-Prince on my last breath. I crashed in hell. No words. For the first time in my life, I had no words. Just bodies, orphans, rescue squads, dust, despair, faith, voodoo. Voodoo blood in my soul.
We're now waiting for the Lord to come in and to save your life.
My name is Liane, and in a crazy way, Haiti saved my life.
God is God, your God is God.
What I'm trying to do with that is to get the word out about post-traumatic stress, and also just compare myself with Haiti, because you don't have to go through an earthquake or through a tsunami or through something so traumatic to suffer from post-traumatic stress. You can have trauma, PTSD from rape, divorce, a death in the family, many things. So I'm trying to show the extent of it through this film. And I want to just thank Jeff for giving me the opportunity to share this with you. Thanks.
Thank you.
So I just met Liane Thompson from JustCoz, and just want to show you.
We should be using friendly. So we're up to about 100 quasi over.
Yeah, hi, I'm Ronen, also part of JustCoz. Just to give you, a brief idea of what we're doing, we thought that, a lot of people were talking about, even today, about Twitter being a very powerful tool, creating a social media reach for people to actually influence and make people get off their butts and do something. And what we found out, sitting with Jeff, is that when you look at nonprofits, NGOs, and charities on Twitter, you see that their reach is limited. Even the big ones, the big names, they don't carry more than 5 figures, like 20, 30,000 followers, no more. And even then, when you consider the fact that, if I care about an organization and I decided to follow it on Twitter, I get the information that the organization wants to basically to inform me of, but that's kind of where the link stops. Not a lot of people retweet that information, maybe some of them do something with it and actually participate in action, but this is where the change starts. And Jeff had a wonderful idea. Jeff is a ham radio enthusiast, or at least was.
I still am.
Yeah, still. And we thought of basically bringing the idea of relaying information to Twitter under the idea of making just stuff that's good, not basically relaying stuff that could be considered spam, but giving these organizations, which are very just and very good in nature, a way to relay that information.
For free.
For free, of course, totally transparent. And the idea was basically to let anybody who wants to be a supporter of any of these organizations to basically give their voice as a relayer, so that that organization can then tweet through them, basically use them as a tool to get to a much wider reach. And we've been on the air for about 3.5 weeks. We have about 100 organizations already. We have 1,200 supporters.
Which gives us access to 1 million plus people.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing, because the studies we did before told us that the average active Twitter user has about 200 followers. Turns out that the active supporter in JustCoz has an average of about 800 to 1,000 followers. So that these organizations who have, some of them have hundreds of followers, some of them have tens of thousands of followers. These organizations, even those that have like 10, 15 supporters, already exceed their original reach. And not only that, the way that they reach those people, those followers, is through somebody who knows them. So for example, if I have Yotam as my follower, and I support, for example, a cause called Invisible People, which support homeless. So if they tweet through me, when Yotam gets exposed to the message, he gets exposed to the message through a personal medium, through a friend of his, which we think is probably more powerful in terms of conversion, actually getting people to get up their asses and do something.
Yeah, no, we'll do questions after. I just want to
Yeah.
thank you. And by the way, if you have any causes or NGOs and stuff, this is a free service. And I think what really blew me away is that a couple of weeks ago we did something with CNN accidentally because there was a telethon for the oil spill in the Gulf, and National Wildlife Federation was the 3 charities actually signed up. During the telethon, they got 130 followers, and when I found out these 130 followers had a reach of like 100,000, it kind of like blew me away in terms of what this could possibly do. So we're here and we're here to help, and it's all free. And if you have a cause that's not listed, just apply. You just have to apply in the Twitter account name of the account that you represent.
Or become a supporter.
Yeah, donate a tweet. It doesn't hurt.
Yeah, I think that's maybe one of the things that I kind of skipped, is that really
Anyone can donate.
Yeah, anyone can donate, and it's like you don't really have to do anything. And basically, once we're limited to once a day, so the tweet goes up once per day per cause per supporter. And basically, all you do is have to click this link, and you become an active supporter without doing anything. And just giving basically your influence.
And if you don't like what the message is being said, you unsubscribe. And anyway, it's just something for you guys to know about. I just was really happy it happened here. Charlie, so tell us about what's your take on the social cause and social good? You've been involved, I guess, for a couple of years now. What have your experiences been?
Well, I think the real challenge is something that Yaron in the previous session touched on, which is a lot of people want to help, they don't know how to help, and they don't want to make a big investment. And one of the things I've noticed today is some people have been talking about how there's no division between the online world and the real world, right? That it's seamless. Other people feel there's definitely a division. I think it's a very hard leap in social causes to go from clicking to actually showing up at an event, taking action, things like that. Now, the nice thing is, like what you guys are doing, is it does spread very virally, right? The success of Festival started with a couple of marketing professionals in London. It's spread worldwide. The organizers are now organized in regions, and one of the cool things with us is we're in the Middle East region. So I get support. The person who's the regional lead is in Dubai. I get support from people in Lebanon, in Abu Dhabi, in Bethlehem, in Lebanon, in Jordan.
Does your location affect you, though? Or everyone's seamless and treated the same?
everyone's treated the same, but we're working in regional groups. So that's my regional group, and we're all working together. And I'm getting tweets, supporting good luck tomorrow and whatever, And here I'm raising money for Ethiopian immigrants to give them high-tech training, So it kind of brings us together on the social level, on the networks, but the challenge really is then to get people to show up at the event, to get the causes involved, to bring them to the next level, right? Because that's also part of what we're trying to do.
And do you work actively to educate these causes?
Yes, that's part of the idea. So there's two different levels of festival. One is global, where we're working with causes that are already very engaged, with that we don't. So for instance, the first festival supported global Charity Water, which is a global organization that provides clean drinking water. So we raised enough money to provide drinking wells in Ethiopia, Uganda, and India, all right? And now millions of people have clean drinking water because of the funds raised globally. However, then the second one, what we did was we took it to the local level, where we let each city pick which charity. And there, it was really also about educating the charity and helping them use social media in fulfilling their mission.
And when's the next festival? Do you have dates?
Don't know.
Cool. All right, Paula, can you tell us a little bit about what you do and how you ended up here?
Interesting question. Okay. My name is Paula Stern, and I have multiple personality disorder.
Multiple personality disorder?
Yes, I'm multiple people. I have a business account that I keep for business, and I have a personal account called A Soldier's Mother. I started it a little over 3 years ago when my oldest son went to the Israeli army, and I had panic attacks, and I didn't want to make him crazy, so I began a blog, which he doesn't read, so I was free to write whatever I felt. And I was amazed by the number of people that I was attracting all over the world. And this natural alliance of people was the first thing I learned about social media. Using social media, you reach people that you can't imagine, you've never met, you have no connection with them, they reach out to you. So all of a sudden, for example, I had mothers of soldiers in Iraq contact me, and one had lost a son there, and we became friends in a tremendous way. And so that's a connection that then transferred over to Twitter. And with Twitter, what I started doing was figuring out how we could use Twitter. And is Carol here? No, she was earlier. No, okay. So during the Iran election thing, which everybody knows about, I got an email from from Carol, who said, we've got to use this to help Gilad Shalit. So we started a campaign. This was for the 3rd anniversary. We actually just passed the 4th anniversary of his being held. And the idea that we stated was that we want to get him to the top of trending topics on the 3rd anniversary of his being held captive in Gaza. So we tweeted, forget work, forget anything, forget life, don't go to the bathroom, just tweet. And we did this. We did this all day, for 2 days before, and all of a sudden on the day, 2 things happened. Number one, we got him to number 3, which I thought was really good, considering that it was his 3rd anniversary. And the second thing was that Michael Jackson died. The good news was 2 hours before he died, but that wasn't good news, but 2 hours before he died, I said, okay, enough, we got there. We got to number 3. The real goal wasn't to get him to trending tweets, that's not going to help him at all. The real goal is to tell people about this now 23-year-old soldier who is sitting in Gaza and has been held captive. So my social tweeting isn't really social causes per se, it's more like the country of Israel. So I tweet when there's a rocket attack because I think it's really important for people around the world to understand that if there's going to be, for example, another Gaza war, which I hope there won't be, and in which my son took part, at least the world won't say next time what they said last time was, why did you do this? There were 124 attacks in November before Israel attacked in December. So you've got to know this, and the world has to know it. So every time there's a rocket attack, I tweet about it. Every time there's this going on, that, whatever. Okay, and no, I don't want to talk about gasoline. Okay.
Question in the back, yeah.
Yeah, you just mentioned something that we had discussed earlier, and that is the actual writing of history with the factor of social media now, uncontrollably integrated in. What is your or the entire panel's thought on how will the next generation's history books will be written? How will they be written? If we can think about the past, 1,000 or 2,000 years having been dictated by governments or countries or official posts, what will now actually make a history book? Will there be a section that will be dedicated
to
to
this in 140 characters, or that's running out of time.
The first answer is I'm not sure there are going to be history books, because you heard earlier who reads books anymore, even though I just wrote one, but never mind. I think that what social media has done is equalize the world in a lot of ways. That's what we've done for our election, and that's what we've done in a lot of ways. You can't ignore reality anymore because it's going to hit the media immediately from the people who are on the ground. So that's one of the reasons why I do what I do, especially the rocket attacks, because they didn't hit anything, because it was a miss. What happens is everyone says, okay, so that's okay, but it's not okay. 75,000 or 750,000 people just ran for cover and just got scared. And that's called terrorism, because they were terrorized. And the world ignores it because luckily it hit an open field. And so I think that what we're doing now is sort of trying to, that's what I'm doing, a lot of people are doing, is trying to spread the word and say, understand the realities of the Middle East, not from what the governments are telling you and not what you're hearing in the media, but from people who live here. And it happens in my reported lifetime.
Okay, we should answer the questions. Okay.
Like really, I think that one of the it's an interesting question. I think one of the problems that brought us to do what we do with JustCoz is the idea of signal to noise ratio on social media. I think there's lots of fluff. I know that Library of Congress decided to basically keep all the tweets on Twitter, and I think unless somebody will eventually come up with some sort of algorithm to mine that data and come up with something useful. Most of it is fluff. And I think you said something really important about, we got Gilad Shalit to number 3 and then Michael Jackson died. And I think this is the essence of the problem that is, right now with social media and the signal to noise ratio. Because a lot of the time, it's really hard to get to what's interesting, to what has, great value over time. And obviously, you used to say that history is written by the winners. I think that it's more, correct to say now that history is going to be analyzed by the winners. It's the data mining that's going to give it the actual meaning.
right.